Welcome, parents and guardians, to our Back to School Night Virtual Edition 2020. My name is Erica Codelli. This is my 14th year teaching, and I really just love teaching. It is my passion and what I love to do. I have worn different hats here on campus at Granada. I have been the department chair. I have coached track and basketball. I've been the leadership teacher. I've taught pretty much every different subject in our department here in the social science department, and I'm very honored to teach your child economics this trimester. So when I'm not teaching, some of my interests are I have two wonderful children. I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name's Cameron, who just started kindergarten, also distance learning. And then I have a 3-year-old daughter named Taylor, as you can see here. I have also recently purchased a Peloton and have enjoyed exercising on my new bike. When I'm not doing those two things, I enjoy cooking and trying different recipes, and definitely enjoy reading and podcasts. However, don't really have that much time now that I'm teaching and learning all these new platforms and tech tools. So when I do have free time, that's what I like to do. So professional statement, before I get into the nuts and bolts of this course, I wanted to kind of go over why I teach and what I aspire to do as a teacher. Definitely want to encourage interest and inspiration and inquiry in the social science department for students, encourage risk taking for students to feel like they can take risks, develop depth of thought, promote an open forum for discussion for students, and foster a positive learning community. So tonight I'm going to talk about distance learning policies first, and this is out of sequence here. Then talk about the curriculum that we're going to be covering, how to stay connected, and then there's a short survey that I would like my parents and guardians to take. So digital policies. Let's start off by talking about some of the digital policies. When we do have our online time and we meet virtually, I want students to be ready to learn, be on time and stay engaged, find a space that is free from distraction. So on your end, if you can encourage those things, that would be great. When it gets to outside of the synchronous online time, students will be assigned regular homework every single week, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours on top of our synchronous time. There is some support time interwoven during the week where students can, in fact, work on some of those homework assignments. Okay, when I do provide homework assignments and when I do assign them, they're not for busy work. They are intended to enrich the learning process. So it's not something where I'll be giving them a textbook page number and say, complete these questions. I really want students to critically think and have a depth of knowledge, and I will assign homework assignments that are going to enrich that. When it gets to the grading in Schoology, I have set up these categories for students. So 5% will be learning activities marked for completion. So that would be class notes, reading assignments, maybe discussion reflections or journal reflections. 40% would be formative assessments. This would be marked as correct or for completion. So that would be a quiz, maybe a select homework assignment. 45% would be a summative assignment or assessment, and that would be marked for correctness or completion. This would be a unit exam or unit test, unit project, or some sort of written assignment. And then last but not least, there will be a final portfolio where students will have to produce a personal finance project at the very end of the trimester. The assessments, just diving a little bit deeper in the assessments, since we're doing everything virtually, assessments are going to be more written and more project-based, partly because it's hard for a teacher to give out an assessment that would be, let's say, multiple choice or a matching, because they have the option of obviously looking and Googling for answers. So assessments will be done in a project-based manner or some sort of written manner. Weekly schedule. So this is what a typical week would look like. Support time is woven in the morning for students to pop on. It's my open office hours. Students can always get clarification or help or tutoring from me in the morning. If they miss a session, they can definitely connect with me during the support time. They need any other type of help, this is the time where they can meet with me. Then throughout the week, there's some interwoven student-directed learning. This is where they can complete some of those homework assignments and some of those additional projects I might assign. And then every single class would meet for synchronous online instruction in the afternoon. What does our distance online synchronous learning look like? I really pride myself in trying to adapt and tweak all of my lessons so they incorporate some, if not all, of these modalities. I like to use lectures and films and student presentations for some sort of oral modality. Written modality where there are discussion questions and they have to write down a response, check for understanding with a written prompt inside the chat. Kinesthetic, this might be a little bit difficult to do distance wise, but definitely some role playing and some simulations. We've already played a simulated game where they had to budget their monthly paycheck over the course of a month and see if they could actually make it through the month, paying their bills, their rent, etc. Artistic music and visual modalities, I like to incorporate as many visuals as possible, as many artistic elements as I possibly can. Our new platform for the school and the district is Schoology. So we've replaced School Loop with Schoology. This is a new platform for teachers to really have like a one-stop shop where they can post everything. Students can look at assessments, they can look at their grades, they can look at assignments, posts or updates that I might make. That can all be there on that course page, along with parents. Okay, it does take some time to get used to, so just be patient, navigate through it. If there are any questions that I can answer, just let me know. Okay, we're not going to be using Google Classroom. However, it does sync with Google Drive, and so students can actually keep everything on their Google Drive that they do for the trimester. Some other fun tech tools that we've used. So Flipgrid is an integrated video discussion board. Students have already created a Flipgrid in my class. Cami, which is a PDF editor, so they can actually annotate and mark up PDFs, so they've already used that. Edpuzzle is where I can post videos, and throughout the videos, I can pause the video and have them answer questions to check for understanding, and they can't skip ahead like they can on a YouTube clip. And then Nearpod, we haven't used it yet, or actually, we've used it once before. Nearpod is an interactive presentation, so it keeps them engaged because I can pause it, have an online discussion board where they post and they can see real-time other students responding, and it just adds another interactive element to presentations. The way that we're meeting is through WebEx. I think WebEx is more secure than Google Meet, and so we're using WebEx. So far, we haven't had any issues. Some students are having difficulty getting on, but they have to continue to refresh the page. But what I like about WebEx is that it doesn't take up as much bandwidth as Google Meet does. Okay, so I'm there twice a week to deliver live instruction, twice a week to do the support time, and then I'm there also during third period ACE for students that have me for third period. Curriculum, let's go over some of the content. So these are our units of study. We're going to be talking about just the fundamentals and basic concepts of economics, which we're doing now, supply and demand, how they interact, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and personal finance. So far in our first unit, which we're wrapping up now, we've talked about scarcity, how scarcity in terms of resources causes us to make real economic decisions and weigh out opportunity costs and trade-offs. If we choose one option over the other, what are we giving up? We talked about the three basic questions for economics. What are we going to produce? How are we going to produce it? And for whom are we producing it for? Those are key elemental questions that every economy has to answer. This week, we're going to focus on economic systems, what they look like around the world, what our economic system is, and others around the world. Economic enigmas are questions like, why do we behave that way when it doesn't economically make sense? So, for example, why do I go out and buy a Starbucks every morning when I have a perfectly useful coffee machine at home and I can make coffee at home? It's cheaper, it's more convenient, but yeah, I still have to go to get a Starbucks every day. So that's an economic enigma, and we'll look at different types of economic enigmas. Later this week, we're going to talk about the circular flow and what that looks like, how things move throughout our economic system in a circular way. Okay, supply and demand is our next unit. We're going to talk about the marginal utility, which is a really fun concept for students to understand how every time we consume something, our happiness starts to decline. Understanding demand and the demand curve, how it shifts, and elasticity of demand. Understand supply, understand how supply and demand work together. Then we're going to get into microeconomics, really looking at business operations, business firms, cost and revenue, perfectly competitive markets and monopolies, labor, employment, and wages. Macroeconomics is really how our banking system works, looking at the Federal Reserve, interest rates, inflation, deflation, how recessions and depressions go through cyclical uh, phases, and then examine the GDP and GNP and how does that measure economic performance. All right, personal finance, this is my favorite. This is probably the most useful unit for students to leave my class with. So this is looking at personal budgeting. What does that mean? Budgeting, budgeting what you do have and making sure that you're prioritizing your finances. Looking at loans. I mean, eventually, students are going to have loans in their future if they don't already have loans, whether it's college, car loan, etc., home loan eventually. Earning an income, we're going to look at real versus nominal wage. We're going to look at credit and what credit means, saving, financial investing, a little bit with the stock market, and then protecting and insuring our assets. Okay. For this trimester, if staying connected is something that you would like to do, and I certainly encourage that, please contact me. Here's my information. It's ecodelli@lvjusd.org. Here is my phone number. I'm in my classroom pretty much every day. Here's my extension. And then, of course, you can check the Schoology course page. If you have any questions or concerns or comments that you would like to share with me, I am attaching a Google form for survey for you to take so I can get to know you and your child a little bit better and understand what sort of assistance you may need in order to foster a positive learning experience for them this trimester. Well, have a great evening.